I want to welcome our listeners to our podcast with Dr. Francisco. Now, today, it's interesting what we're going to cover. We're going to cover some things that you may not be aware of that Francisco has wanted to bring to our viewers. And I'm just going to introduce him, and we're going to go over three key things that are going to help you in your golf game, but probably not things you think about, like couple hours extra on the driving range. So Francisco, I'm excited because you shared with me before we started what we're going to cover. So tell our viewers a little bit who you are and give them a little idea of your background, and then we'll get into what we're going to talk about with our viewers this morning.
Yeah, well, for the purpose of this podcast or whatever, I work as a wellness coach in Partner ND. It's a clinical office, a concierge medicine office. And I've been doing that type of job for more than 16 years now, 10 years of them in New York. I'm an exercise physiologist. That's where I got my PhD in. And then I got several certifications in nutrition, and I've been personal trainer, private consultant for doctors, for patients. So I've been lecturing about that in different settings, anti-aging medicine forums, and now I'm applying all that into this clinic and with people that I work privately.
That's awesome. I know the first time I met you, it was like you were trying to get a baseline of where I was, and you introduced Dr. Peter Attias, and you went into the glucose revolution. It was two books that I really geeked out on. And it just it put me on a journey of discovery in areas I wasn't aware of. So I know your background really enlightens a lot of people. So for our golfers, what do you have for us today?
So there's always, I like to approach things when there's a passion for golf or for other sport or whatever, is how to, the direct training of the skills, of course, that's an easy one. And I mean, not easy to do, but it's an easy element to think of. But it's the indirect elements, like, for example, how you sleep and how that is paramount. I mean, people know I have to sleep to be rested for health or whatever, but there's like direct correlation with the distance of the ball and the target, the hole. The less you sleep when you're in putting for at the end in the green, the farther you go from the target. So you should know, especially if you are a morning person, you go all motivated, you being maybe on Friday night later than you should, you still get up too early, and then you go there and then it doesn't work. Don't think that your game is affected because you are not good or whatever. It's simply that you haven't slept. So the coordination needs to exist.
And I'll say too, just as you talk about sleep, I mean, I geek out on that too. Last night I slept 8 hours, which the mental clarity that you have with a good night's rest is off the chain. So when you talk about how it relates to golf, if you're thinking clearer, you're playing better. So go into a little bit more detail about the sleep aspect that you're telling our viewers.
I mean, the study is so simple, but I like this study. Like, it's the effects of a sleep restriction on self-reported putting performance in golf, and this is 2022. So I mean, they just restrict a group of people of sleeping significantly, and other people just a normal sleep. And in the morning, when they go to the green, as simple as that, the people that got restricted were significantly off target compared to the group that sleep normally. And it's more accentuated, it's more noticeably in people that consider themselves early birds or morning people. If your chronotype is that, it's even more important. I mean, to the point that in practical terms, if you have a tournament or you're going to go play, try to make sure you look at the calendar like that you're going to have your sleeping, to the point that if it's in the afternoon and you didn't have a good night of sleep, maybe you have to take a nap. You know what I mean? You need to have the brain rested. So the coordination between the brain, your hands, the posture, all these core muscle balance, all that get affected. That's the topic of sleep, but there's two more.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know, for example, another one indirectly. These are, well, on the nutritional aspect, for example, talking about the brain is rested. Supplementation with acetylcholine, which is a well-known nutrient, very safe, very well studied about brain health.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, we will be working on memory, motivation, arousal, and attention, right? So you're motivated to go to play golf, but even to practice, having the memory, the senses of when you do well, you fix those memories. What are you doing well? You remember the exact details of the course. You remember more nuance about your own performance. So the more you practice, you integrate those skills. Acetylcholine helps you to do that at the brain level, and it's not like a difficult to find. Acetylcholine, it's good for the central nervous system. It's been forever. So that was another thing that I wanted to bring you. Do you take any supplements right now?
Oh, I do. And then I the omega-3, I use some greens.
Oh.
I do a shake in the morning, which I put all kinds of stuff in it. And however, I am open to always getting better, because I realize when you introduced me to Dr. Peter Attias, he talks about those aspects of, what we put in our body makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're looking at processed foods, I know our society has kind of leaned towards more processed foods than they did 50 years ago. Share with our viewers, like, processed foods versus what you covered with me, the more natural, like the outside of the grocery store, the vegetables, the different things like that. Help our golfer understand that.
And let's clarify one thing, because sometimes we get too complacent about it's a processed food. Oh, I don't eat junk food. Well, processed food is also microwave food all day, every day, for example. They are good options out there. I'm not saying no to that, but it's a form of process. Or instant soups, even if they're organic ingredients or whatever, when it's too processed, sometimes they have to put too much crap in it to make it work. So that's why we have to at least alternate and be more using fresh produce, right? I mean, we will process our food. We will cook it, we will boil it, we will steam it, we will saute, whatever. But it's important to understand that a good balance of raw food, aka salads and fruit, and even some nuts. Some nuts require to be roasted a little bit, otherwise raw is more difficult. And then you have cooked food, like fish and cooked veggies. And then you have a little bit of processed food out there, like some people, for example, have some use or rice or quinoa, whatever. You have to process it a little bit. You have to cook it and everything. Now, the whole packaged food is when it becomes a little bit tricky. Quality matters, obviously. There's some packaged food that are really, really minimally processed. For example, recently I discovered a substitute of pasta for people that want to lower the burden of wheat and gluten. And it's made out of the hearts of palm, the palm that you put in a salad.
Yep.
They process it, but it's just that, and they make spaghetti or rice or whatever. And it's something that you can put in a soup. And am I eating processed food? Yes, but that is a good processed food, if you will, right? So it's trying to, the ingredient list should be short.
Just for our viewers, I know I covered on a different episode that there's some dry soups that I get at Brain Station, and it's by Frontier, and I add the Costco rotisserie chicken to it. So last night I had that soup, and then I air fried broccoli with a little bit of olive oil and some seasonings. And so remember when you were telling me about Glucose Revolution, the vegetables first. I'd never heard that before. Never, that never was even the sequence of how we eat. Never was in my discussion until Glucose Revolution, and then I
It's interesting
the
because
mindset behind.
If you put the fiber first, I mean, imagine that you have nuts or the salad, everything, all that fiber start getting dissolved in the juices or digested or whatever, and it creates kind of like a paste that sit on the bottom of the stomach, and it will slow down the emptying of the stomach. So if on top of that you start putting protein, fat and water, that they're not compatible, so they don't dissolve. Now you bring the carbohydrate, the starches or the sugar. It's not that easy for the sugar to immediately abandon the stomach and get absorbed quickly and then raise your sugar in the blood. So that you create like a mess between the sugar and your blood. And that will help you not only that's health related and health impact your goals, but the digestion is better. You don't get the crash of when you have a reactive hypoglycemia. And all these things affect your brain. And we just saw how when the brain is kind of like off whack, things that seems to be natural now become more difficult, or you don't know why I'm not feeling it today. It's those type of things. And the third point, the strength of your hands. Most of us are not strong enough in our hands. We think we are because we can cover all the mundane things that we do, but having a strong grip is related with the risk of all-cause mortalities. I mean, it's a representation of your health. And there's many studies that prove that, and even the risk of suffering dementia, the risk of suffering cardiovascular events. So, and obviously it sounds, well, for the golf, I'm fine. I don't, maybe at the beginning when you are starting, you get some soreness, but it's beyond that. It's getting strong in your arms. That will impact the longevity of your career playing golf. Even as a no professional, but you want to be 90 and be able to be playing comfortably. So that strength, watch out. So that's why strength training is so prevalent at the professional level. Performance is directly implied. You can be the greatest golfer that you can be. If you add a layer of strength training, your golf gets better. I mean, that is plain and simple. And part of that strength training, if you think about it, you do legs, you do core, but you're lifting, pulling, pushing, things like that. And that, when you realize you have more strength training and more grip, hand grip strength. And we measure that, for example, in the clinic. We ask people to, in a dynamometer, to see that.
About a year ago, I first got privy to that device. You're squeezing it, and then you would say, okay, you're at such and such. And so you're actually measuring how strong my grip is. Okay.
And if you are too low in your group of age or even other group of age, if it's too low, we know that there's a overall phenomenon in your body that needs to be addressed. Like you need to become fitter. Okay. Because that's the bottom line. So checking your strength, your hand grip strength is not expensive. You can find, I mean, obviously the instrument that you use, the equipment is more calibrated or whatever, but just be mindful of that. And when you are working out, think about, for example, suffer when I do pull downs in the gym. Before my back gets fatigued, my forearms and my grip get fatigued. And that's a very common thing that you notice that people say, no, I'm fine. It's my grip. So that is exactly what we have to. So there's exercises, there's balls, there's like you can do in the gym with the bar and the cable. You can do forearms with the dumbbells, and just be mindful. I mean, who has great hand grip strength and they're pretty healthy? Climbers. Climbers have an amazing level of strength. It's just, I mean, it's too much. But it is crazy how we are so far removed. We're human, but they have a lot of strength in their hand, and that means a lot of things that have to do also with your brain, the neuromuscular connection, all that is in place. And then you see just the golf and say, okay, now I understand. And I'm going to be healthier for longer, so I'm going to be able to play more golf.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Just I play at Pine Tree, of course, and there's a rugby player. He's had a hole in one, Tion, and he played in South Africa. When you shake his hand, holy mackerel, does he have grip strength? I mean, that guy's off the chain. It's like you're shaking a steel hand. And, he's an excellent golfer. And I think of the advantages he has he hits long irons like I've never seen, because I think his grip strength is so good that he can.
And you can tell that rugby, you said that. Yeah, he's strong and solid. And
yes, he's like a rock. He's like, it's like, and you notice it when you shake his hands. It's like, man, so how does that translate into him being a better golfer?
It's a great topic. Exactly. It's a great topic because sometimes the cliche of what we have in golf, non-professional golf, is kind of like all individuals spending some time in the course. Like it's kind of like very light. But why are we neglecting the collective of seniors that have the time in their hand, that all they have to focus is in enjoying life and be healthy? Why are we going to deprive them from becoming significantly stronger, like going to the gym with the purpose of, hey, I want to become significantly stronger, no maintenance, not toning up. I want to pull with increasingly stronger loads. I mean, safely, you can train safely, but why not open our minds to really develop monster strength, like legit full force of like, oh my God, my grandpa can push things, pull me, leave me with one arm, whatever, things of that nature. And what that is happening is that you're telling your body that, hey, we need to do things. We need to be alive. We need to be strong. And now you're applying this day in, day out with the motion and the technique and the biomechanics of golf. Great. But you need to be strong. If you have imagine strong legs that lift hundreds of pounds, like no problem, like 300-400 pounds, and your legs, and then you're in the court holding your regular body. It sounds easy. Now golf becomes really more enjoyable.
Yeah, that's it absolutely opened up a whole world when I came to see you. Usually I am talking to just a doctor, your family, but then to have appointments on your side with this is the exercise and nutrition, it opens up a whole new world of knowledge and how to apply that knowledge. I mean, I absolutely never had heard of Dr. Peter Attias, never. Before
I used to work in New York.
You showed me that book, and it was like, this book's like War and Peace. And I'm going, I'm not like a
let me tell you something.
reader, but I dove into that. I listened to every single, I've listened to hundreds of hours, and it was because you exposed me to something I had no idea was even out there.
And right now in Partner ND, the CEO got exposed to this book finally. And he became so passionate about this that he got one copy for every doctor in the company.
Really? Holy man, I love that.
Every single doctor in the company has received a gift, which is the book of Dr. Peter Attias to understand the future of medicine and all that. So being in the midst of these great authors that distill the knowledge in a way that is amazing. The work of Dr. Attias is really uncanny, and Dr. Huberman, that's another favorite.
Yes. Yeah, I found him through Attias. And he's off the chain too. That journey.
So this is what we do with people that we love in this field. We try to continually communicate what science is finding out, what medicine is finding out, nutrition, everything, to gain an edge on our life and performance. 3 points at a time. Today was sleep, hand grip, and acetylcholine. But what is important also is to don't stress out of what else I can do, what else I can do. Enjoy the ride or keep discovering things. And be happy that you are curious and keep your mind open to this thing. And when you find something that resonates a lot with you and it makes sense, go jump on it, but don't be stressed out trying to find the solution. Oh, I need to take now acetylcholine for my golf or whatever, because that stress, for example, is hindering the effect of the thing that you want to do. Stress is very, very important to keep at bay. So I see this as you feel good by knowing that you are researching things, that you are trying things, you are reading things. The very act of seeking the information, doing a podcast, interviewing people, that should give you a lot of fulfillment. And you're listening to this. The fact that you're listening to this is a sign. So you are in the path, even if you're not taking the acetylcholine right now, right? Definitely, you're gonna try to go to sleep on time today. That's for sure.
Yeah, I want to, I know you being with Partner MD, you're not going to toot your own horn, but I'll toot the horn for Partner MD. When my friend Walt told me about you guys and realized it was just 20 minutes away from me, it was like, of course. And I realized that having a quarterback to guide you through the maze of your personal journey of health is so important. When I came over to see you, it was now the mindset of exercise and nutrition, where I've never been exposed to that level of knowledge. I mean, having a PhD, you can't buy a PhD at Walmart. I mean, it's not like you can go there and go, hey, I'll take that PhD. So your training helped me to say, okay, if you said Dr. Peter Ortiz is a person to listen to, I said, okay, I don't know. There's so many books out there. There's so many people out there, but you guided me to a resource that changed everything about how I think. Now I apply things differently than I did before. So for our Atlanta listeners, we'll put a link in the show notes for Partner MD. If you're in Atlanta,
and by the way, I don't get any commission from Peter Attia.
Yeah, exactly. But you are focused on me, your client, and you're saying this will make a difference. Because I said I geek out on all this stuff, but I had never heard of the guy. And so if you had pulled that book off the shelf and said, here, this will really give you a foundation of understanding, to live longer, that type of thing. Yeah. And then it was like, holy mackerel, I couldn't believe how good he was.
And it's one of the biggest, more fulfilling rabbit holes. You can start going, oh my God, what to measure in my blood, what to look for in the analysis, yeah.
Well, we'll put links in the show notes. You showed me before, when we were talking before we came on, an article. We'll put a link to that article too, because I think our listeners are at a point where they want to know how can they play better golf. Now, you can go out there and
some of them might be very, very, some of them might be very science savvy and would like to know, I mean, this guy's talking what, acetylcholine or whatever, or hand grip, and I will put the articles to the journal. Okay. That's awesome.
Awesome. So let's sum up the 3 things for our listeners as we wind down, so they'll know exactly what you covered.
Make sure that you sleep properly and that you work on that. Even if you are old and say, well, I cannot sleep, just work on your sleep. Keep in mind that when you do strength training, it's not only to hit the ball stronger, it's to you become stronger. And one expression of that is your hand grip strength, related with absolutely many health elements. And finally, today I brought an example of a supplement that works with brain at the level of attention, motivation, arousal, like memory, which is acetylcholine. There's
Okay.
many supplements, and sometimes maybe you will find acetylcholine in another supplement that contains
Okay.
various. So those three, and we will keep researching.
Man, this has been good. I'm pumped and ready for the day because when you cover those three, it's just foundational, critical. And I think if I hadn't have met you through Partner MD, I wouldn't have never picked up Peter Attias. And that just wouldn't have been on my radar, maybe 10 years down the road. But now you've changed how I think about things and who I have, like you said, Andrew Uberman. I mean, he's again a guy, he's been podcasting for just 2 years, but the Stanford clinic that he's a part of, he's been in this industry for years. So you would now tap into his knowledge, just like our viewers can tap into your knowledge by listening to more about what you have to share to be better golfers. So, Francisco,
Awesome.
I want to thank you for being with us today. And we'll make sure for our viewers, we'll put links for you to get further into subjects that, are going to make you a better golfer. Thank you very much.
Awesome. To the next one.